to zoom in and back to zoom out. Hello, rugby fans. I'm Brendan Monroe, and our game of the week this week features the University of Victoria Vikes in yellow to our left against the Vancouver Rowing Club in red and white hoops to our right. And the game is just underway here at beautiful Stanley Park in Vancouver, BC. Fergus Hall hoisting the ball deep. There's a couple of players back. Going back for it is Henry Racinos, and he will collect the ball for the rowers and try to gain some territory back. With the up and under, putting himself back on side. Ball takes a favorable bounce for the rowers, but a penalty coming up here, probably an offside, I would suspect, which is indeed the case. And we have our first penalty of the game, this one going to Victoria, and they've elected for points early on. The ball will be placed on the tee, and I believe it will be a different kicker for them than usual, as Giuseppe Detroit is playing for Canada U20. He's usually the man with the boot, so Fergus Hall will be setting this opportunity up for the Uvic Vikes very early on in this game. So early, in fact, that we haven't gone over the rosters, which we will do in just a moment. And that kick drifts wide to the left, so our score remains 0-0. This is a good opportunity while we set up the dropout restart here to maybe go over the lineups. We'll start with the visiting Uvic Vikes. Number 1 is Casey Reed. Number 2, Casey Cavers. Number 3, McBrien Boss. 4, Kevin Leask. 5, Shea Weekfield. 6 is Luke Campbell. Jeff Nishima Miller is wearing number 7. Number 8, Nathan Stewart. 9, James Blado. Fly half 10, Connor Llewellyn. And we'll get back to the rest of those in just a minute. Uvic has the ball off the restart. Llewellyn to his right. Hall collecting the ball, dodging a couple of tacklers, making a break for it, and picking up about 10 meters for his team there, putting the Vikes in good position. Some more hard charging from the Vikes. Offload attempt by James Blado sails way over the head of Crosby Stewart, and we will get an early line out. At this time, we would like to recognize our sponsors who help us deliver streaming rugby every Saturday. We would like to thank. We'll come back to that in just a second. My apologies. As we have the ball pushed into touch, the flag goes up. And the rowers with their first ball of the game, trying to use the wing, getting some space on the right side, and just about making it all the way through that tackle line was Brett Lucas, but he was brought down. Rowers getting a penalty for not rolling away. And on the halfway line, they'll have a decision to make what to do. It's probably pretty far to kick for posts, given the distance and the angle, so I expect them to go for the corner. And that's what they do with the low driving kick that finds about 10 meters worth of space. So not ideal from that penalty, but they will get the ball hopefully for them on this line out opportunity. It is Jason Carton doing the throwing. Bit of a sloppy line out. It's recovered by the Vikes. Boss on the bottom of that pile. Running hard into the tackle line, Captain Remy Anktil. Now with some space on the right side, Crosby Stewart will go back to his left, over to Casey Cavers. Fergus Hall stepping into the corner. Conference results in a try. Uvic Vikes with the early score to open the account, putting them up 5-0 thanks to a strong run there from Fergus Hall. And well finished off by Cavers. It'll be a difficult kick here for Fergus Hall all the way in the corner. Good solid boot on that one. Sounded nice, looked good. The flags go up and it's 7-0 for Uvic. Check that with the, yeah, that's right, 7-0. So the second attempt through the posts is good for Fergus Hall. He missed that penalty a few minutes ago, but the conversion on that try was spot on. And Uvic with a bright start to this game. The rowers have not had much possession at all. They'll try to get it back here on the restart. Ball is dropped, it's there to be had, and the rowers do recover. There's a bit of an overlap. They can get the ball outside. Doesn't happen as Racinos is tackled once again. Connor Cleary brought down. They'll try to run through the forwards. Jake Chowan. Check that Greg Crow wearing number 1 for the rowers on that last phase. And Crow once again had the ball. That one spilled forward, and the Uvic Vikes recover on their own 22. Hall has seen a lot of the ball early on. He's tackled. Pitblado decides he will kick that one high. It's collected by the rowers, and they're on the counterattack as that particular kick from Hall had no one chasing it whatsoever. And with that penalty for not releasing in the tackle, we'll have an opportunity for the rowers to put some points on the board, as they are just inside 30 meters out from the posts. And we've typically seen Romain Planty doing the kicking for the rowers. He's not in the lineup. And speaking of lineups, we'll go over the rest of our lineups right now. We got as far as the fly half for Uvic. Number 10 is Connor Llewellyn. In the backs, we have Joe Ehrlich wearing 11, Doug Fraser wearing 12, Captain Rami Anctil wearing 13, Crosby Stewart wearing 14, and Fergus Hall is your fullback wearing 15. For the rowers, it's number 1, Greg Crow. Number 2, Jason Carton. Number 3, Jake Chowan. Number 4 is George Richmond. 5 is Brandon Kay. 6 is Skylar Dumas. 7, James Pond Jones. 8, Lachlan Campbell. 9, Duncan James. 10 is Richard Thompson. 11, Kevin Gurniak. 12 is Connor Cleary. 13, Brian Durham. 14, Brett Lucas. And 15, Henry Racinos doing the kicking. And that kick drifts wide. No points coming off of that penalty opportunity for the rowers. Looked like a turnover ball there. The penalty results. Quick tap and go from the Uvic Vikes. That pass from Pitblado goes to deck. Llewellyn will try his luck up the right side. Uvic now over half. Boss is rebuffed as he tried to break through that tackle line. Now they'll go back to the left. Shea Wakefield wrapped up. Removed from his forward momentum, and the ball is nicely kicked over the top, and that one bounces into touch well inside the Rowers' territory. That'll be about 8 or 9 meters out from goal. Good looking kick there from the Vikes, buying them some territory, and that will put the Rowers under a lot of pressure. Carton throws that in. The Rowers do recover the line out. This maul is not going anywhere, but it's finally kicked with the box kick. Going up nicely for it was Crosby Stewart, and he comes down with the ball, and he's on the run. There is some space out there, but Doug Fraser was brought down before he could exploit it. Quick hands over to Joe Ehrlich. He's looking for the corner, stopped short. Fergus Hall, crossfield kick. Waiting for it was Casey Reed. The whistle goes. They're going to bring this one back to an earlier penalty. Leaving their feet is the infraction, and with about 5 meters to go, the Uvic Vikes are threatening once again, and they will have this penalty. Some options just to tap it into the corner or to run with it or to scrum. So some good options here for Uvic as they maintain their pressure, and they decide to just tap that one into the corner. So they will try the line out. They're throwing down an early message that they will be able to recover this line out and hopefully drive it across the line. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. As this maul drives towards the line, it collapses just short. And the Vikes think they've scored, and a knock-on is being called just at the line. Our referee, Sarah Turner, indicating that that ball was in fact knocked on. So a break there for the Rowers as they get out from under that situation, but they will still have a lot of work to do as they have to put in at their own 5-meter line. Fergus Hall to his right, Crosby Stewart. Low pass, scooped up by Doug Fraser. Looking for some help, trying a couple of fends. The support is slow in coming, but now it piles in. Llewellyn switches back inside to Nashima Miller on the 22. Pipblato tries to make a quick ball of it, but he is defended nicely by the Rowers. Rowers trying to turn it over, but it is still Uvic possession. To the outside once again, Anktil unable to find that breakthrough. Uvic continuing to build the pressure. There could be an overlap on the outside. If they can just get the ball to the winger, it is at the line, stopped up short. And the arm goes up for a penalty. I couldn't see it from here, but it looks like the arm went up for a penalty, but I believe that's the try that's being indicated, and that is indeed the case. It's a little bit of confusion on the broadcast booth. team, but no confusion out there on the field for Uvic, as that is another try, their second of the game, and they will extend that lead with an opportunity to go for a couple more on the boot of Fergus Hall. It's a low kick, but the accuracy is spot on. And that extends the Uvic lead now 14-0 in favor of the visitors. Rowers restart. That's a good looking restart. Ball is contested and won by the Rowers. It's exactly what you want to do on those high restarts. Just enough for the forwards to run onto and create pressure and cause the turnover. And suddenly the Rowers are in a scoring position just outside the 22-meter line. We haven't called his name very often yet, but Duncan James in there at scrum half trying to dig it out. And a penalty again, as the Vikes were a little too ambitious in that breakdown. And for a second time, the Rowers will have an opportunity to go for posts. The last one drifted a bit wide. This one should be straight away from the posts. And I believe that'll be Racinos lining up for the penalty attempt once again. Oh for 1 so far on the kicking. And the Rowers need to do something to slow down that scoreboard ticking over for the opponents and get themselves started on the scoreboard in this game. It's a better looking kick. And this one drifts through the uprights. Well done on that kick, bringing the score line to 14 for Uvic and now 3 for the Rowers, as they get their afternoon started about 15 minutes into this game in terms of offense. That high clearance kick from Gurniak goes into touch right on halfway. And it's going to be Casey Cavers throwing it in for Uvic. Check that, Casey Reed. That long line out goes to ground where it's scooped up by Duncan James. Rowers trying to push the ball forward. Good leg drive there, getting them a few more yards. They do break the gain line on that one, picking up just a few more. They're still well outside the 22. Lots of work left to do on this attack. Good use of the inside channel, persistent attack from the Rowers. Controlling the ball through 5 phases now. Getting a couple meters with each passing one. And the ball is dropped as it was ripped out of the hands of the flanker, number 7, James Pond Jones, and the Vikes have it now. Fergus Hall will clear it, and that ball stays in touch. It'll bounce a couple of times and then roll into touch, and a good territorial kick there from Fergus Hall. So as soon as the rowers look like they're threatening, the Vikes have been able to just kick it down the field into safety. That's a couple of times we've seen that now. They're playing a very smart game and not offering a lot of opportunities for the rowers to build their offensive attack. Barging in the line out. Penalty to the Vikes, and they go back on the attack through Connor Llewellyn. Trying to connect with the backs right now, but that plan doesn't go anywhere. Hard charging run from Kevin Leask. They're in a good position now, can go left and right, but the ball's turned over and the rowers have it. And can they go on the counterattack? They have 3 extra backs if they can move it to the outside. Gurniak with the ball. He tries to step, decides to go back inside. Racinos is wrapped up right on the halfway line, and the Vikes will be able to reset their lines. Rowers unable to exploit that overlap, that extra couple of attackers, as there was something on there momentarily, but the Vikes did close the gap pretty quickly. So we'll have a scrum here with about 20 minutes remaining in the first half. The score 14 for Uvic, only 3 for the rowers. It's been a half dominated in possession by the Uvic Vikes. Let's keep in mind the last time these two teams met, it was a 36-36 draw. And the rowers were able to fight their way back into that game after trailing. Coach Jeremy Sable and his lads will attempt to do the same thing here, but they've created themselves a bit of a difficult task by falling behind early by those 2 tries. And against a team who's in great form in the Vikes, who have reeled off 2 consecutive wins, you don't want to give yourself any extra challenge, but there's a turnover ball slipping through the hands of number 20 for the rowers, who's not on our game sheet. And he looks a little upset with himself, as he had 50 meters to cover if he'd been able to squeeze the pill, but he was already thinking of the try line before confirming that the ball was in fact in his hands. Campbell's pass is low, but it's well collected, and they do have a break maybe on here for Racinos. He's hit, spins away from the tackle. This is good ball movement from the rowers. And that pass is dropped by the loose head prop, Greg Crow. Knock on the result. So we've seen a couple of unforced errors from the rowers with drop balls here in the first half. And they can't afford to make those kind of mistakes if they want to get back in this game. Discipline and execution will be a big challenge in this one. They'll have to have everything go just right against a high-flying Uvic team. Rowers trying to catch the Vikes. inside that 10-meter distance on the restart after that penalty. And it looked like a couple of players maybe hadn't made it back to that 10-meter distance when the play restarted. Some instructions being given to our captains, or at least to the Vikes captain. And the Roars will get another opportunity to go for a penalty kick. This one from 36, 37 meters straight away. No wind here at Stanley Park. It was raining earlier on, so the field's a little bit wet, but the clouds broke and the sun is out, and it's turned into a fantastic afternoon for rugby here in Stanley Park in Vancouver. That kick started right, stayed right, and drifted wide. So the scoreline remains 14 for Uvic, 3 for the Vancouver Rowing Club. As we're through half an hour into this game. Fergus Hall with the ball. He'll get things back underway on the restart. Choosing to go deep, collecting the ball on halfway. The Roars start their counterattack. There's a break on. And Racinos has that ball bounce off his hands, and that will be a knock-on. Disappointing, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, a couple of unforced errors. That was a bit of a tricky pass to run onto at full speed, but he'll be disappointed with himself. Again, possibly looking at that try line before securing the pill. And those are the kind of mistakes the Roars will need to clean up if they hope to win this game. I didn't catch the number of the winger that was running with that ball before offloading to Racinos. But that was certainly a good tackle line break by the Roars and their best run with the ball so far this afternoon. Good drive there from the Roars. But it's Vikes in possession. Pipledo will get this back to the fly half. Llewellyn, who kicks it deep, and the ball just drifting over the touchline on halfway. And that's been a theme so far this afternoon, is whenever the Vikes are starting to feel that pressure, they've been able to get the ball back to a kicker and get it deep. So some good territorial kicking, relieving that pressure for the Vikes. And more importantly, those kicks are finding touch. Even if they land in field, they seem to be rolling into touch. And that allows them to set up effectively, as they've done there. Although a penalty going the way of the Roars, they take it quickly. And we'll slow this one down. The ball was carried into touch by the Roars, just a foot on the line, and we'll get a line out. Casey Reed throwing this one in for the Vikes. Boss trying to spin away from a tackle. He's wrapped up, but Llewellyn getting the ball out to his right. Good defense there by the Roars as they organize themselves, not allowing the Vikes to advance at all. But a penalty going to Uvic. Pipledo gets it over to the number 8, Nathan Stewart. And now some territory being gained quickly by the Vikes as the Roars defense has to try to scramble to get back in position. choosing to go with it himself is Pipleto. He kicks it over the top. Can he get there first? It's a race. And the rowers win that race to the ball. Was it dotted down in goal, or was it carried back over the line is the question. We're going to get a 5-meter scrum, I believe, here as a result of that. As I think the ball was caught just before the line and carried back into goal by the rowers. As we deal with this injury on the field. So we'll get that scrum started in just a moment. So here we go with this scrum put into Uvic. As that was James Pipleto doing all the work and getting them that territory, setting up this scrum as the ball was indeed dotted down in goal but carried over the line by the rowers. And now the Vikes are trying to push that ball over the line. Penalty here. Vikes thought about taking it quickly, but they will slow things down. Score 14-3 in favor of the Vikes. They're looking to add their third try of the first half. They don't have much distance to cover, but the rowers have been persistent in defense. And they have a tough test in front of themselves right now. Vikes tapping. I believe that was Fraser, stopped up short. Still a couple of meters to cover. Boss pushing his way just short of the line. Wakefield, check that. That was Leask. They're right at the line. No signal yet. Vikes think they have it. Knock on once again. That's the second time we've seen that as the ball is attempted to be placed over the line and a knock on the result. So 3 tries so far for the Vikes. It could have been 5 so far as they have been in control from start to finish in this first half. But a bit of a slip there from the Vikes as that knock on will offer some reprieve to the rowers. This time the put in will be to Duncan James, rowers scrum half. Campbell carrying it out, gets about 4 meters, still under a lot of pressure are the rowers, but that kick will relieve some of it as it does find touch on halfway. Good clearance kick. The Vikes thought about doing a quick line out, but they'll bring this one back for a proper line out throw. And as they do, we would like to recognize our sponsors here at BC Rugby. We'd like to thank Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, Grosvenor, Avison Young, Langara Fishing Adventures, and Thorstenson's. Bit scrambly down there as the ball's bouncing dangerously right outside the rowers' goal area. The rowers first to jump onto that loose ball. Another opportunity to clear. Gurniak with the long kick. This one looks like it'll stay in, but no, it does find touch. 10-meter line, another good clearance kick from the Roars. Some discussion going on after that kick with our referee. Coming up on halftime in the next couple of minutes. There's an injury behind the play to one of the Rowers players, and they're calling for some extra medical attention. So it looks like a reasonably serious injury behind the play. It's been a first half dominated by the Uvic Vikes. They've had the vast majority of possession. They have scored 3 tries, and they could have had up to 5. They're calling in some more medical attention here. While they do that, we'll take a commercial break, and we'll be back to you in just a moment. On that line out, the Rowers do recover. Racinos goes left to Gurniak, who drops the ball. No knock-on call yet, but there it is. And once again, a knock-on to the Rowers, who are just struggling a little bit to execute those passes right now. Now it's the Vikes' turn to drop the ball as it is collected off the ground by Duncan James. And now the Rowers with a bit of a break over to Campbell. He's able to hold on to it. A couple more meters to cover and wrapped up just short of the line. Rowers with their best opportunity of the game so far, just short of the line. Strong defense by the Vikes trying to deny them this try. Ball looks like it's been pushed over the line, and signal for a pass forward. This game would have had a lot of offense in it in the first half if it had not been for forward passes like that and a couple of knock-ons from the Vikes. So that is our 3rd time the ball has found its way over the try line, only to be canceled out by some kind of violation. the Vikes are happy about that as they kick the ball clear. Vikes collect the ball on the line out. Llewellyn jumping through the tackle line. Check that, Remy Anctil. Now some space opening up on the left side. Campbell is in there for the Vikes. Pushing hard is Jeff Nishima-Miller. Vikes threatening once again. Llewellyn over to Anctil. Fergus Hall over to the wing. Crosby Stewart in for the try in the corner. Good use of the ball by the Uvic Vikes as they spread it from the middle of the field all the way to the winger. And they are able to score their third try of the game. They now lead 19-3 with an opportunity to convert for Fergus Hall. Slicing kick, looks like it's hooking wide, and it does. So the score remains 19-3, and that is your halftime score. A dominant half of rugby, it must be said, from the Uvic Vikes, as they were able to score 3 tries with an opportunity denied on a couple more occasions. They have been in charge of this game and have been dictating the play. A lot of running from their backs, and they're opening up the field and creating a lot of opportunities for themselves. So we'll be back with the second half in just a moment. Please stay with us.
BC Rugby has a 125-year history, a history of success and pride. There's a place for everyone, young and old, boys and girls, one spirit, one team. Some play a small part, some larger, and some, the special ones, they know what it takes to grab onto that history and shake it to its core, inspiring us all. They train for hours, alone, pushed by will, determination, no one watching, no one cheering. They find a way to push a little further, to wring out one more set, one more rep. You know your opponent is training hard, so you train harder. Your biggest threat may not be the opposition, because someone always wants to wear your jersey, to take it from you. What are you prepared to do to keep it? That jersey, that crest, forever bonds you to something bigger. makes you stronger than you could ever be on your own. So you push harder, dig deeper until you have nothing left. Because it's all about the team. Those fighting beside you now, and those who came before you. BC Rugby. One spirit, one team.
For every passion, there is an ultimate destination. A place revered by countless tales. For salmon fishing, that destination is Langara Island. Immerse yourself in natural splendor and enjoy the greatest fishing experience of your life at Langara Fishing Lodge.
We're back live for the second half. Uvic dominating in that first half performance. 19-3 is the score. And I believe that was their scrum half who was injured late in that first half for Uvic, James Pipleto, as he is walking towards the clubhouse in front of us with a bag of ice on his hand. So I believe Robbie Anderson came in for him wearing number 20. I'll check that here in the second half to begin. But on that restart, a hard tackle. Rowers able to recover. Greg Crow trying to throw a little sidestep into his game, into his repertoire. Rowers not messing around with that long kick that rolls into touch. Inside the 22, Vikes thought about doing a quick line out, but they will cool things down. And they'll take this line out deep inside their own half. Wakefield goes up high for that one and comes down with the ball. The maul is formed. Setting up a second phase, but illegally, and the penalty goes to the rowers. They'll have a decision to make whether they want to take the points from the 22-meter line or try to go for the corner. Generally, this is the kind of situation you just take the points, but given that they're down 19-3 and the second half is just underway, there's certainly a lot more pressure to go for those extra points, and that is the decision they go with. That ball finds its way into touch 5 or 6 meters away from the try line, and this will be the second time that we've seen the rowers this deep into enemy territory. It starts with this line out, and they'll have an opportunity to get their first try of the game. And here they go. That maul looks like it was going to go to ground very quickly. A couple of players under it, but the maul stays on its feet. Now driving forward, it's spinning to the side. Rebuffed by the Vikes. Crow is hit as he tried to cross the line. Now they'll have to spin it to the backs. That ball is spilled, collected, but they'll bring it back for an earlier penalty. The rowers trying to get there very quickly to take this restart before the Vikes are able to recuperate and reform their lines. Didn't quite go as planned, and now we have a breakdown with the ball being played slowly by the rowers. Just shy of the line, the referee's in there, and a try has been signaled. Not sure which one of those rowers forwards it was being able to collect the ball. We'll find out in just a second, but the first try of the game for the rowers coming right at the start of the second half, and that will bump their score line to 8 points. Still trailing by 11, but they do have this opportunity for the conversion. Good work there by the rowers as they were able to get things started with that territorial kick and line out recovery, and a couple of phases later they were able to push the ball over the line. And that's exactly the kind of start that the rowers needed here in the second half. And that kick goes right over top of the post and just outside of that left upright. And the score now 19 for Uvic, 11 for the rowers. I said it's an 11-point deficit, but that is in fact their total at this time, with 2 penalty kicks and 1 try to their account. On the restart, Crow barges into a couple of tackles, holding on to the ball. Now he releases, getting it back. Duncan James to the replacement fly half. The ball's charged down, still loose on the deck. Campbell chasing after it. It's time for some footy, kicking it all the way down into the Vikes half, and they're still scrambling to find it now. They'll try to settle things down. Campbell with a bit of an ankle tap as he tackles his man. Trying to dig it out of there at the bottom of that pile was number 16. I've listed as Liam Chisholm. Vikes will want to reply to that rowers' first try of the game. Some big tackles being thrown there in the middle of the field. Wakefield wrapped up. A penalty to the rowers. Not releasing, a hard-won penalty by the rowers, and once again, an opportunity to either kick for points or kick to the corner. They chose the corner last time. And I believe they're going for the post this time. Kicking tee is out. So about a 40-meter kick to come for Henry Racinos. He's been tasked with a few of these today, hitting a couple of them so far. This one a long kick, but definitely in his range. Slight breeze picking up here at Brockton Oval. Will swirl this ball a little bit to the right. He gets under that one, and the ball does drift in the wind and drifts to the right of that upright. So opportunity knocks, the rowers not answering the door. The Vikes continue to lead by a couple of scores. The restart coming. Fergus Hall with the ball will get things back underway on this dropout. Brett Lucas was the man carrying the ball there, tackled, but the territorial kicking continues. Bit of nervy play there from the winger Joe Ehrlich as he spills the ball into touch, disappointed with himself. And the rowers will have this opportunity. It'll either be a scrum for the knock-on or it will be a line-out, just depending on the assessment of our officials. And they're going to go with the knock-on occurring just before the ball was brought into touch. So we will have this put in for Duncan James of the rowers. They are just outside the 22-meter line. And the rowers quietly climbing back into this game. Well, through the legs, back to the fly half. Now they'll try to incorporate the backs. There's a little bit of extra space out there on the left wing, but that's denied by a good, strong Vikes defense. And the rowers will have to regroup. I believe that was Campbell driven back in the tackle. Slow ball here. Just the one pass sequences. Vikes up quickly on defense. That ball is loose. Recovered by the rowers. Connor Cleary trying to find some daylight. He's tackled. Not much support. The penalty goes to Uvic. That support leaving their feet. And the rowers attack ebbs for just a moment as Fergus Hall is able to take this penalty and kick the ball into touch, advancing it to about the 10-meter line in the Vikes territory. We would like to take a moment to recognize the support of our sponsors. We would like to thank Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, Grosvenor, Avison Young, Langara Fishing Adventures, and Thorstenson's. Fergus Hall has the ball just over halfway. That pass is low. They're fighting over it on the ground. Vikes do pick it up, and now they're on the offense. That ball is dropped, and advantage being played to the rowers. That was a knock-on, and that slows down the Vikes' offensive foray. Vikes yet to score in the second half, still sitting on 19 points. They have certainly looked at different teams since their scrum half, James Pipleto, left this game with an injury in the first half. We're going to get some substitutions, I believe, coming in. The back line for the rowers. Gurniak switching to fullback. We'll have a new winger on that left side. Ball stolen on the scrum against the head by the Vikes. Ehrlich does scoop up this one. Well, that pass was certainly a tough one to recover. Trying to blast his way through the tackle was Casey Cavers. Good strong possession here by the Vikes as Leask was brought down. A little bit of contact off the ball. Penalty going to the Vikes. They take it quickly. Llewellyn outside to Stewart. Looked like an interception, but this one's going to be brought back on a penalty. Didn't see the call, possibly an offside, but we have a kicking opportunity for Fergus Hall. This one looks pretty makeable, just inside the 22 straight away. And an opportunity for the Vikes to get their first points of the second half. Wind picking up here, no distraction to Fergus Hall as he's able to drive that one home. So 3 points added to the Vikes total. They now sit on 22. Trying to pull away from the Rowers. We certainly have a good ball game on here as both these clubs have asserted themselves at different times in the game. It was all Vikes in the first half. It's been mostly Rowers in the second half. And on the restart, ball's dropped by Nathan Stewart. But it is still the Vikes with the ball. Llewellyn kicks it forward. Gurniak going back to collect it. He's got some space to run into. Trying the right side, nothing on there. Simple rugby being played by the Rowers, one pass at a time, maybe two passes. That's going to work as long as they can hold on to the ball. This is looking good as far as possession play goes for the Rowers. Now an opportunity on the left side. There's a break on and a try scored. Didn't catch the number, but that was our reserve who came on just a couple of minutes ago on that left wing. And as I mentioned moments ago, it's been a strong second half for the Rowers. That strength continues as they get their second try of this half. Still plenty of time left. And they are climbing back into this game. The score now 22 for Uvic and 16 for the Rowers. Conversion attempt looked like a low driving effort, but just enough to scrape over the bar, and it does sail through. So 18 points now for the Rowers, 22 for Uvic. We got a pretty tight game. We'll check the watch. We got at least 20 minutes left. So a good finish being set up here for this Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League Game of the Week between Uvic and the Vancouver Rowing Club. Recall that these teams tied the last time they met. That was back in October. It's been a long time since then. There's been a lot of rugby played. But just like last time, these two teams both right there with an opportunity to win this game. And each possession now takes on so much more importance. Stewart's tackled by 3 rowers, trying to get the ball back. Good rucking there by the Vikes, but they did commit a lot of players to it. They were able to get the ball free and advance it a couple more meters now on halfway. In there very quickly, causing the turnover too quickly, says our official. Offside the call. Some groans from the home fans, but offside the call against the rowers. So right on halfway, Fergus Hall steps forward and he'll have a chance to kick this one into touch. Spinning kick, finding touch, just outside the 22-meter line. Still a lot of work on this sequence left for the Vikes, but they'll just be hoping to slow down the rowers' assault. It's been almost all rowers in this second half. Just the 3 points to show for the Uvic Vikes. And they'll want to increase that cushion as they only have a 4-point lead to work with right now. Reed's tripped up. Penalty going to the rowers. So their momentum continuing on here. That one stays in touch, or in play, and Llewellyn hoisted deep, deep, high ball inside the 22. James's kick will drift into touch, but quickly thrown back in by the Vikes. Ehrlich over to Fraser, tripped up on halfway. Trying to roll forward for a couple more meters. High tackle there on Ehrlich. Chisholm takes the ball himself, looking to offload, finding Nathan Stewart. And a penalty to the Vikes once again. Like we saw moments ago, Fergus Hall was able to hammer one inside the 22. Will be given another opportunity here, I believe. I was fairly confident I saw the hand go up for a penalty there, but this one is going to be a scrum. And we've seen some pretty clean scrummaging from both of these teams today. Not a lot of restarts on the scrums. It's just a simple put in and a push. And it's been a good contest from both these teams, but no dark arts winning the day so far. Just clean scrums from both these clubs. That one wheels and penalty to the Vikes. Hall's kick just outside the 22, this time on the opposite side of the field than we saw 2 minutes ago. And the last time we entered this kind of sequence, it was a quick turnover to the rowers. So the Vikes will want to get a hold of the ball and get a little more possession and try to put the pressure on the rowers with some sustained phase play here. Trying to kill the clock as we're under 20 minutes left to play in this match. 4-point lead continuing to be the difference for the Uvic Vikes. Deep line out collected by the Vikes. Wakefield with the ball. He'll get just inside the 22. Tacklers quickly up for the rowers. advantage being played, and now advantage ending, and we have a knock-on against the rowers. So we have a scrum once again with the put into Uvic in a slightly more favorable position than the last one we saw. Just outside the 22-meter line. The other thing this does is just chews up clock. So this is smart rugby if they can just maintain possession and eat up that time and try to slow down the momentum that the rowers had in this second half. Of course, the real momentum killer will be to get some points. Vikes desperate to do that. Llewellyn with the ball over to Fraser, hit hard. Yet another penalty going against the rowers. A decision time for the Uvic Vikes, sitting 30 meters out. The winds died down a little bit in the last couple of minutes, making the kicking conditions just that much easier. And it will be a kick to posts for Fergus Hall. No angle to contend with. Strong looking kick, right down the middle. That's exactly what the Vikes needed. That extends their lead to 25-18. So one converted try, the difference between these two clubs right now. And do the rowers have another try in them in this second half? Off the restart, this will be a contested ball. Wakefield going up, the ball is knocked backwards. Vikes have it. That one is kicked high and clear. Back forward is Brett Lucas, over to Gurniak. He'll kick for territory. No one back there now. Hall running back, chasing the ball. It's going to bounce into in goal just over the line, and he dots it down before any of the rowers, chasers can get to it. So we will get a restart. And a good idea from Gurniak, but just a little too much leg on that kick. And the clock continues to tick, the enemy of the rowers. Scrum half Duncan James thought about the offload. Now he does it. Just inside the 10-meter line. Nicely collected right in the shoelaces by the rowers center. Now a quick pass back to the inside. Is there something on here? Great passing from the rowers, just underneath the post, stopped. There's no support. The Vikes steal the ball. Llewellyn over the top. Ehrlich trying to stay in play. Taking the channel back inside. The Vikes desperately trying to get out of their own end. The ball is kicked high and does spill into touch. Off the bounce. That was a great sequence of passing from the rowers. And just desperation tackle saving the day for the Uvic Vikes. That was probably the most exciting sequence of passes we've seen from the rowers in this game, as they were able to loop 3 or 4 passes together there on that last offensive foray. James barking out instructions. Penalty going to the rowers. They decide to go quickly. Ball scooped up, but we're going to bring this one back, as there are a couple of players still pulling themselves off the ground. Casey Reed at the bottom of that. Some discussion with our referee. There's possibly some illegal play happening at the bottom of that last breakdown. Penalty to the rowers, I believe. So with that penalty, the kick goes into touch. It's a good one, just inside the 7-6 meter mark. Not much distance to go for the rowers. And they were successful last time they got the ball in this kind of situation. It did take them a few phases to get the ball across the line, but they'll look for one iteration or another of that same sequence. Perhaps just driving this maul straight forward being the most expedient path to those points they desperately need as we get into the game's closing few minutes. Ball held up in goal. I believe is the signal. The referee, Sarah Turner, has his arm out towards the rowers, and a scrum is coming with a put into the rowers. A forward pack will be tested here as they're required to push that ball over the last couple of meters. Captain Chris Seiler not in the lineup for the rowers. He usually plays tight head prop and is in charge of driving that scrum. So it falls to Jake Chowan at tight head and the rest of the forward pack for the rowers here to try to push those Uvic Vikes players back. Nothing giving right now. In fact, the Vikes pushing it back a meter or two, taking it quickly. On the blind side was Duncan James. He's tackled before he could get across the line. Ball is in the bottom of that mess right now. Both teams trying to secure the ball. Vikes still have it. James to his left. Stopped up short. Good defense for the Vikes. Rower still in possession. Good anticipation there by Hall, getting over on his man, rolling over top him. The ball is just shy of the line. Campbell steps inside, spinning around a couple of tacklers, but he's wrapped up before he can dive forward, dotting it down. Supported at the line. Still more strong defense from the Vikes. Rowers in possession. They'll try once again. And a try finally signaled. So it took a few sequences, it took a few phases right at the line, but the rowers finally able to get that one over. And as important as that try was, it's even more magnified by the upcoming kick as they need the 2 points to pull level. And it won't be a simple, straightforward kick here for Henry Racinos. He's lined up just a couple of feet away from that 22-meter flag. And the wind swirling just a little bit in the in-goal area, complicating his life as the pressure of the situation mounts. Another low kick, this one sliding underneath the level of the bar. And so by the narrowest of margins, the Vikes continue to lead. No Vikes chasers on that restart, allows Brandon Kay to get a full head of steam. Now over to Greg Crow. High kick falls between the sweepers back there, but Fergus Hall now with the ball, getting 20 meters with the ball on the run before he is met. That pass is intercepted potentially, but it's going to be a knock on, as stepping up into the tackle line was one of the rowers' backs, and knock on the result. A high risk play trying to pinch that ball, but something the rowers will have to do as they continue to trail in the closing stages of this game. Neither team able to create a distinctive advantage in the scrum this afternoon. Vikes collecting that ball via the scrum, and the kick goes straight into touch on the full. So it's going to come back inside the Vikes territory with the throw in on this line out to the rowers. Unforced error there coming from the Vikes. Rowers winning that line out, continuing to hold possession. And I'll have to take some of the drama out of this game just a little bit as I check the scoreline, and we had added a kick to the scoreline that was not in fact there for the rowers. So upon doing the review, it is 25 for Uvic, 20 for the rowers. So not quite as close as we thought it was, but definitely still anybody's game at this point in time. But the rowers will have to go back into their own territory after that penalty kick from Hall. The Vikes will want to just run through phase play here and hang on to the ball as best they can. Wakefield driving his legs, getting a couple more meters before he's tackled. Hall trying to do the same thing for the Vikes. He's also brought to ground. Penalty coming, this one going to the Vikes. Some groans around the stadium from the Rowers supporters not liking that one. Hall pokes that one into touch. 30 meters still to go for the Vikes. And again, that clock continues to tick down. We're inside the last 10 minutes now. What has been a very tight game. 25 for Uvic, 20 for the Rowers. Vikes going up high for it and collecting that ball in the line out. Having some trouble digging it out of the bottom of that pile was Chisholm. fly half. Connor Llewellyn with the fend, with the offload. This is looking good for the Vikes. They continue to maintain possession, chewing up time on the clock. Boss to Wakefield. Just inside the 22 now. Crow is up quickly to slow down the Vikes attack with that tackle. Slow ball. Very strong looking ruck and support from the Vikes. They are happy to play slow ball. Now they'll get it to Hall. He's found a bit of a gap, but that gap is closed by a pair of Rowers defenders. Leask trying to keep his feet, finally brought to ground. Vikes still just inside that 22-meter line. Frustrating the Rowers, waiting for some kind of mistake from the Vikes. Vikes not producing any kind of turnovers or mistakes at this point in time. Good solid possession through multiple phases. They probably had about a dozen phases worked through in this sequence here. Boss throwing his full weight into that contact. Both players looking a little shaken up after that one, getting up slowly. It's George Richmond that was laying the punishment on Boss a moment ago. Turnover ball. Rowers have it. Question is, do they hold on to it? They probably don't have much time left, so possession will be the key. No kicking the ball away unnecessarily. Knock on. Was it caused by the tackle? Indeed it was. Advantage being played. Drop goal attempt. Not sure if that was a drop goal attempt in the end, as it was well short and wide. But I guess you can take that liberty once you do have advantage being played, as the Vikes did there. We should be into the last couple of minutes of play here. One last opportunity for the Rowers, but they have to cover the whole length of the field, and they have to get the ball back first. So a big task for the Rowers still to play here. Good push on the scrum. Scrum collapses. And a penalty to the Vikes on that scrum. The ball is just outside the 22-meter line. And in fact, not a penalty. They're just going to reset the scrum here. Now the ball is just kicked out. And is that our ball game? That is full time here at Stanley Park. Great effort from both of these clubs, but the final score, 25 for Uvic, 20 for the Vancouver Rowing Club. And the Vikes now make it 3 games in a row with big wins, and their assault on the top of the tables continues as they search for that home field territory and that second seed in the playoffs. For the Rowers, time to reflect on this game. Another close opportunity missed, and those teams chasing them behind in the CDI standings are suddenly coming up in the rearview mirror very quickly. We will join you once again next Saturday for our Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League match of the week, as we have James Bay traveling to the mainland to play the UBC Old Boy Ravens. For everyone here at BC Rugby on the BC Rugby broadcast team, I'm Brendan Monroe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
BC Rugby has a 125-year history, a history of success and pride. There's a place for everyone, young and old, boys and girls, one spirit, one team. Some play a small part, some larger, and some, the special ones, they know what it takes to grab onto that history and shake it to its core, inspiring us all. They train for hours, alone, pushed by will, determination, no one watching, no one cheering. They find a way to push a little further, to wring out one more set, one more rep. You know your opponent is training hard, so you train harder. Your biggest threat may not be the opposition, because someone always wants to wear your jersey, to take it from you. What are you prepared to do to keep it? That jersey, that crest, forever bonds you to something bigger, makes you stronger than you could ever be on your own. So you push harder, dig deeper until you have nothing left. Because it's all about the team, those fighting beside you now, and those who came before you. BC Rugby, one spirit, one team.